Well, welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to another monthly vlog for the month of November 2024, where I arrive at a new location and also give you a review of the channel for the month of November and look forward to what's going to be happening in December. Most obvious question though, where are we today? Well, we're in the delightful village of Newton St Lou, and it's pronounced Lou, not what I thought originally, Low. It's Lou because of the influence of the French immigrants, 14th century from Normandy. Well, where is Newton St Lou? Well, I'd only heard of it fairly recently. If you're a student of Bath University, you'll be very familiar with it because their headquarters is just in the valley down there in Newton Park. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of a look at that later in today's video. We're about 4 miles to the west of the beautiful city of Bath, Bath Spa, famous Roman city. And I arrived here by train today and I caught a bus. It's the bus number U5 by First Bath and Bristol buses, or Bristol and Bath buses. And there's one, amazingly, every 10 minutes, which drops you at the Globe, a junction or a roundabout there just off the A4 walking into the village. The bus actually carries on right into the campus there, frequent service for the students. Also goes through a place called Twerton, which is a large suburb just to the west of the city of Bath. So I hope you can join me today. So what I'll be doing is showing you around this beautiful village. It has a number of interesting facts about it and it is really, really beautiful. And while I'm doing that, I'll be telling you about what's been happening on the channel for this month, November, and reading out the very best of your comments here on West Country Wanderings. Now, I think it's fair to describe this village as a bit of an oddity, a bit of an odd village. And the reason for that is because the entire village is owned by Prince William. Yes, a remarkable fact. It's actually part of his Duchy of Cornwall estate. And excepting Dartmoor aside, that the Duchy of Cornwall, the land that they own around there, this is the biggest tranche of land that the Duchy of Cornwall own. They have their northeastern headquarters here because they own lots of land. A lot of people think it's just Cornwall. It isn't. They own a lot of Herefordshire, a lot of Gloucestershire, Wiltshire, Dorset, and here on the edge of Bath. And they have their HQ for all those areas right here in Newton St Lou. How did they acquire it? Well, it was on the death of the estate of Newton Park here, and it then was purchased during the Second World War, amazingly, in 1941 by the Duchy of Cornwall estate on behalf of the then Prince of Wales. Obviously, previously, it was Prince Charles, who is now king. And of course, the estate has now been passed into the hands of Prince William. You can tell, I don't know what it's called, but it's like these little kind of roundels in a shape. You'll see it dotted around the buildings as we have a look through the village today. So here we have the old post office, and you can see the mark there of the Duchy of Cornwall estate alongside it. Don't know the year that the post office closed though. There are some facilities here which we'll look at later, and you can see the beautiful landscape and the valley that Newton St Lou sits in here. And this building here is the estate office of the Duchy of Cornwall, here for the northeast quadrant of the estate lands. Now, I know it's a cold day towards the end of November, but I still get the sense that this village doesn't get many visitors at all, and it's well beneath the tourist radar, which is a good thing for me doing monthly vlogs. So this is the driveway here, which leads down to Newton Park, or through Newton Park, to Bath Spa University, and the camera things there as well. They're trying to discourage people driving to the university, particularly through the village entrance. There is a direct entrance off the main road, but we'll see if we can head down there later. There's a footpath on the right. In the wall of the lodge here, on the entrance to the University of Newton Park, is a fantastic fossil. Looks like an ammonite there, out in the dry stone wall. Well, a mortared wall, not a dry stone wall, but yeah, that's fantastic. And there is the lodge. Well, it's a Thursday today, but that's Friday House there. I wonder how that got its name. Some beautiful architecture here and buildings. tell you some more about the history of the village shortly. Also have some buildings here which are thatched. And here we have Newton's St Lou Recreation Ground. Spotted a couple of seats, that might be a good place to do some piece to camera talking about what's been happening on the channel for the month of November. Well, this really is a beautiful, beautiful village. Very, very quiet and peaceful here. There's a farm just the other side of that hedge. I would say that's the road there. I can just make out the edge of the newer buildings of Bath Spa University over there as well. I believe there is a farm over that way, another farm with a farm shop. So you can see if we can go over there, probably up to get a coffee, although I have brought some hot tea with me. Sorry for the hat, by the way. It's a very, very chilly morning. When I left home it was about -3, -4 with lots of frost on the ground. That's gone now, but it has left the ground rather wet here in the recreation ground in Newton St Lou. So, what's been happening on the channel? Now, excluding the monthly vlog for last month, which was in the town of Walton in Wiltshire, near the city of Salisbury, former capital of Wessex, there's been 12 videos. But I want to go back to that Wilton video because I had a couple of great comments on it. And if you remember, I talked about the railway there, and a couple of people asked me, was there any plans to reopen the railway station there? Well, yes, there are, the GWR one, because there's two lines. There's the West of England main line that goes between Exeter and London Waterloo. There's no plans to open the station that was on that line, old southern region, but there is a GWR one. But the trouble is, the plans for it have been kicking around for at least 10 years. Doesn't that sound a very familiar concept? But hopefully, yes, it will one day. But I also had a great comment from Darren, who runs a channel called Somerset Man Walking, who I was delighted to meet in his home village of Rington, more about which later in this monthly vlog. And he writes a very interesting comment which kind of links into where we are today. Darren writes, as a retired carpet fitter, I had fitted both Royal Wilton and Axminster carpets. I worked all over in my younger days, and I had the privilege of fitting carpets for the royal family at both Highgrove House near Tetbury and Gatcombe Park near Avening, both in Gloucestershire. I also met Captain Mark Phillips at Gatcombe. Yes, if you remember, he was the former husband of the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, who still does live at Gatcombe Park there near Avening. I did a walk near there, one of my Cotswold walks, if you wanted to check that one out. But that's a great comment. What an honour that must have been. There must have been a bit of pressure, actually, cutting expensive Wilton carpet to put into homes like that. I'm sure that was a bit stressful, but also a real privilege. Thank you for that comment, Darren. Cheers. Now, the lands here at Newton St Lou go back to Saxon times. In fact, they go back earlier, and we'll come on to that shortly. But there is evidence to suggest there was a bishop here who was called, I've got to check my notes on this one, Geoffrey de Montbury, and that was the time of the Norman conquest. But going back before then, there was evidence of a 3rd century Roman villa. Now, the railway line between Bath and Bristol, the main one, not the Midland one, the GWR one, built by Brunel, of course, into Temple Meads, is just to the north of the village here in the Avon Valley. It floods as well, but it's now on an embankment to stop it being washed away. But when they were originally constructing that around, I think it was at the 1830s, late 1830s, early 1840s, they discovered a large Roman villa. In fact, they discovered 2 Roman villas, and one of the mosaics of those, I think it's called the Orpheus, is now in the museum in Bristol Museum and Art Gallery. It's been preserved there, yeah. So Roman evidence just to the north of the village here, but Saxons as well, and evidence of that. But a lot of the buildings date 15th, 16th century, going into 17th and 18th. You can see the history all around you in this fantastic village here in Bath and North East Somerset. Now, before we head into the first break, I'll tell you about the next video, the first proper video that landed in the month of November. And it was actually a collab, what you YouTubers call collabs, short for collaborations. And I've done a couple of these now, well, several actually. And this time I went to the beautiful Shropshire town of Ludlow to meet up with 6 other YouTubers. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Ludlow itself is just a beautiful, beautiful town. So it was organised by Alice Goss, who does brilliant videos all around Europe, particularly cities. Flights out to those just for like 1 or 2 nights. And yeah, she does fantastic ones, and I'll link to Alice's Goss, but she arranged the whole thing. Anyway, I had a great comment on that video from Phil Olsen, who also is another YouTuber. I think he lives in South Wales near Cardiff, and he writes, "I know Ludlow very well, and you did it proud. Nice to see you meeting up with some other YouTube channels that I know." Thank you very much for that, Phil. And Travel Happy Howard, who was one of the people we met up on that day there in Ludlow. It was beautiful sunshine as well. And the castle is just what to die for. It's absolutely fantastic. Talking of castles, though, there is one here, or remains of a 14th century castle. Hopefully we'll be able to have a bit of a look at that if there's time towards the end of today's video. But going back to Travel Happy with Howard's comment, "Hi Paul, we all had a great day out in Ludlow, and you have made a brilliant video of our day. Thanks for the mention." And thank you, Howard, and thanks to all the others met up there in Ludlow. And I'll link to all the respective channels again in the description of today's monthly vlog. And I'll see you shortly after this break. And welcome back from the break. Just having another little wander around the village here at Newton St Lou, and see if I can find where the farm shop is. Now this would appear to be the heart of the village here, like a tiny little village green. That monument, let's have a look at that monument in a moment. Yes, it's like a giant water feature, isn't it? Holding water. It's got lead on the top of it, but there's no inscription or engraving on it. And yes, that is a shop there selling Marsfield ice cream. Too cold for that today, but yeah, they sell all the usual local things: logs, kindling, takeaway teas and coffees, and art cards too. And the cottage there is called the Thatch. Don't usually see a fire hydrant sign attached to a tree though, but that's certainly the situation here. Yes, it really is a very pretty and attractive village. Now I've come round to the church, which is the Church of the Holy Trinity here at Luton St Lou, and that there is the door to the tower of the church. It is locked though, but on the top of the tower is a little bit of a mystery. I'll tell you about that in a bit. On to our next video though for the month of November. That video was unlocking some hidden secrets in Bath, curiously enough, which is, as I say, just 4 miles along the A4 there. And the reason I did that was because a photograph had popped up on my Facebook feed, and I thought, I don't recognise that part of Bath. And Bath and North East Somerset Council decided to open the Undercroft and East Gate, which is not normally open to the public, and I think it hadn't actually been open to the public since the 1960s. And I saw it was only open for 1 week only. I thought, well, I've got to jump at the chance. So I literally jumped on a train to Bath down the road there and had a good look around. Had some great comments on that video, including one from Michael Pilling, who lives in Poland. Hi Michael, it was great to hear from you. And Michael writes, "How exciting to be able to go where nobody has been allowed. Since the 1960s, I'd love to know what's behind all the blocked off doors and arches." Yes, me too, Michael, definitely. Great that the council are seeking the opinions of the general public onto what spaces should be used for. That's great. Thank you very much for that, Mike. And I also had a great comment from Jack Martin Leith, who I think lives nearby. And he writes, well, basically he gives you loads of information about what the council's plans are and what's going forward, and also about the history of the site as well. So if you want to go back to have a look at that on YouTube, and I've pinned his comment, Jack's comment, to the top there because it's fascinating. It's too long for me to read out to you now, but if you want to know more information about the Undercroft there and East Gate, well, Jack's comment will tell you all about it. Thanks, Jack and Michael, for those excellent comments. So what's the mystery behind this tower door? Well, let's rewind a little bit. The church here was built in the 11th century, the Church of the Holy Trinity, although what you see behind you here is actually mainly 14th century, because there was lots of additions during the 14th century. Now, during the 15th century, the tower was built, and on the tower that's facing down towards the village, you'll see a clock, but it's most unusual. I think it was added in the middle of the 19th century. But what's special about the clock is it only has one hand. No, the other one didn't fall off. It's just got an hour hand, which will give you an indication of the time roughly in terms of minutes, but no minute hand. I don't know the reasoning for that, but it is really quite unusual. Now, anything to do with canals seems to be pretty popular on my channel. The next video was no exception, entitled Looking for a Lost Canal number 5, the Liskeard and Lou Union Canal. So it's one in my canal series and also in my Cornwall series, of course, because Liskeard and Lou both lie in southeast Cornwall. No trouble with the pronunciation of that one. But it was a short-lived canal which went from Morswater on the edge of the town of Liskeard down towards the sea at Lou. They didn't go all the way because it utilised the tidal section of the River Lou on the later stages of it. And initially it was to bring in sand to fertilise the land around there in that part of Cornwall, but later on it switched over to export, or help to export, the tin which was coming out of the mines on Bodmin Moor there on the Carrington Hill area. Interesting little canal. I managed to find some bits and pieces of it, although I was a little bit limited for time that day, but I'd really love seeing the lime kiln there with all those gearing left inside it. Had a great comment on that video from David Bellani, who lives in Spain. Hi David, always great to hear from you. A real autumnal walk. The two parallel viaducts were a great sight to see. It seems incredible that they were built the pillars on the other one, but didn't finish it off with more durable materials. It's interesting here that both here and in Bude they use sand as a fertiliser. Yes, I don't know many places outside of Cornwall and West Devon where that is the case. If you do know, please drop a line in the usual way below. But yeah, it just seems to be unique to South East Cornwall and West Devon and North Cornwall and North Devon as well. But outside of that, less so. But thanks for that great comment, David. Now, on my channel, if you're a regular viewer by now, you'll know that I like to mix the formats up. It's a variety channel. It's not dedicated to one thing. I do my railway ones, canal ones. We go on coastal walks. We look at the coast around southwest, around Devon and Cornwall and Dorset. And we'll be returning to all of those as well. But another strand on the channel is to do with photography, because I really enjoy doing photography. Now, what you won't find on my channel is in-depth technical stuff. And occasionally I would refer to some bits of photography jargon, but I try to keep it like a base level, because I know that most people on my channel aren't here for the photographic sides. And what I like to do is take photographs of a specific area to give you a flavour of what area is like. And that was the case with the next video, and that was called a photographer's dream, even / Bath. And it was a new format for me, because instead of just taking some photographs and sticking to music, I decided to do a bit of narration before I hit the shutter button, so you could actually hear what my cogs were going in the old brain there before I decided to take a particular shot or not take a particular shot. And so I didn't know how this one was going to be received, but it's actually received pretty well. And thank you if you've watched and commented on it. And a great comment from Andrew Walton Photography, that's his YouTube channel. I did like the square crop of the couple on the bench. Yes, that was in Queen Square, if I remember. And the street shot at 8:16, that's the timing in the video. Monochrome on a dull day like that is a wide move. Yes, of course, when the colours are very muted, it's best then to just focus on the shapes and light and shade rather than just things looking dull. I think that's always a wise thing. Thank you very much for that comment, Andrew. I like how the names of the properties give you an indication of what they once were. This one here is called Spencer's Cottage. I wonder if somebody called Spencer lived there. And next to Newton Farmhouse, which is the big building there, we have Washhouse Cottage. Now down here on the right of the lane is something called the Bird of Prey project. I don't know much about that. I'll see if they've got a website, and I'll put that website link in the description of today's video. And yes, yet another farmhouse here. That's Home Farmhouse. Well, in the corner of the birds of prey project at the moment. We don't have birds of prey, but we have some piglets. Now come round to the bird of prey project, and it's where free flight meets conservation. So day ticket is £7.15 for adults, and under 16s it's £4.95. It seems pretty reasonable. So this is Newton Farms farm shop. So you've got a cafe here, and they're selling at the moment. They're selling lots of Christmas trees as well, of course. It's won numerous awards for the quality of their fresh fruit and vegetables. This gives you an indication of how close we are to the city of Bath. You can actually see the suburb of Twerton there, just nestled in on the other side of the hill. So yeah, pretty close really. Now down over there is Newton Park, and it has a grand building which is owned by the Duchy of Cornwall and leased to Bath University, and it was built for one Joseph Langdon between 1762 and 1765 by one Stiff Ledbetter, who I'd not come across before. He was a very, very famous architect in the 18th century. And if I've got time, I'll see if I can include a photograph of that, because I'll need to head down there before catching my bus back to the city of Bath to get my train back home. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the tour around this place, because you don't hear many people talk. Well, if you live in Bath, I'm sure you know about it around here, but it's not that widely known, I don't think, but really interesting place. And it's great that it's got well, at least two places where you can grab a cup of coffee, although I haven't seen a pub here as yet. I've got some more to tell you about the village shortly, but before we do that, and before we head into the next break, we'll have a look and see what happened in the next video, which was the most popular video by far in the month of November, and that video was Portishead Railway Part 2. Now, Portishead Railway Part 1 is an absolute storm. I think it was like 6,500 views. It's just done flying phenomenally well. And this one is well over, well, it's heading up towards 2,000 now. So if you watch that, and thanks very much, and particularly if you commented on it, had some great comments on it. And this one is really, really interesting. It's from a gentleman called Richard Wakely. And he writes, Ham Green Halt was opened until the very end of the line. I wasn't aware of that. I actually thought it had closed early, but source of local knowledge here, so I'm absolutely certain Richard knows better than what information you can gather from books and what's on the internet. But not all trains stopped there. All trains did stop at Pill and Clifton Bridge stations, though. As kids, we always hoped to see tramps in Lee Woods. They had some shacks on the landward side of those under bridge that I came across. Miles Dock was less overgrown in those days, clearly showing its stone construction. And there had been a narrow gauge railway, 2-foot narrow gauge railway, down to the locks to load into barges. Oh, I didn't know that. I couldn't find information on that. So that's a brilliant comment, Richard, and I thank you for that. Not only that, I had another fantastic comment. I just love your comments this month. You've exceeded yourselves, guys and gals. Brilliant comments. I just love it. A gentleman called Phil Sharks, who lives in Pill, and I'm a Pill hobbler. So he used to be a hobbler. Now, I had not come across that until I did that video. Just to remind you, a hobbler was somebody that worked on the boats, tying them up to the harbour, the wharf side there. So really difficult job because of the tides on the River Avon and also the mud banks as well. We are still going strong after 500 plus years. Most of us can say we have followed in our ancestors' footsteps, and many of us are related in some way. We used to play on the railway. Another one that used to play on the railway. If you're watching this, guys and gals, don't play on the railway these days, but I know it was a thing in those days. As children, and we're always walking through Ham Green Tunnel, which was scary. I would imagine it was. Thanks very much for that comment. That's brilliant. And yeah, brilliant job. As I say, I had no knowledge of what a hobbler was, but I found Pill an absolutely fascinating village there in North Somerset. Now, some of you remember a little while ago I did a couple of videos on the Somersetshire Coal Canal, and that lies a little bit to the south and to the east of here. And that was obviously to do with the Somersetshire coalfield. Well, obviously we're in Baines, Bath and North East Somerset here, but there was also a colliery here too. There's a geological term for it, the line of the coal this line's on, but I can't remember what it is. Now the colliery itself is actually right near the Globe Inn, so right heading out towards the A4, and as you walk in off that way, unfortunately I didn't have my camera in hand, there is a wonderful grey, like an enamelled carving of 3 coalmen there, and that was called the Globe Colliery here at Newton St Lou. So that's another connection to this. So it's not just about the farming community, which is what you would associate with this place, and also the grand estate of Newton Park there, but also really hard-working people going into the mines, digging out the coal. It actually closed in the 19th century. There's no trace of it now. The road kind of bustles right through it. But yeah, I found that fascinating to think that there was a colliery here as well, a little bit more to the west and the main bulk of the Somerset coalfield. Now the next video that landed on the channel I've actually been putting off for some time. The reason for that is I thought I'd run out of ideas for it really, and the views on it weren't there weren't anything to write home about, but one of my subscribers, yes, Michael from Poland, he contacted me and said he'd like to see what the woodland looks like now. This is the Gloucestershire woodland, which I'd previously done 6, I think, and that was the 7th. And there is now a separate playlist for it, so if you want to watch them all, there is a separate playlist for those. Incidentally, I've also set up a new playlist for Bristol, for Bath, and for Wiltshire, and for photography as well. So all those are in separate playlists if you want to look at those videos as well as all the other playlists I have for railways, canals on the other counties, so I want to list them all. But yeah, so they're all separate now. But I digress. So I returned to Gloucestershire woodland and filmed in there. It was delightful, and I found some new facts to tell you about trees, because trees are just, well, they always just blow my mind, and also spoke in the video about how I really love that woodland. And I had a great comment from that from Ted and Carol Collins, who now live in Leicestershire but used to live in a village called Cam, not far from, well, in Gloucestershire should I say, but not a million miles away from where that woodland is in Gloucestershire as well. I remember walking across the fields from Cam Green to Coley on Sunday mornings and strolling through a small wood in the 1950s with my dad. Those memories still inspire me today. Thank you, Ted. Well, thank you, Ted, for that excellent and very heartfelt comment. I can imagine just how those memories resonate with you. So I'm on the edge of Newton Park, and in a minute I'll just tell you about something that's actually in Newton Park just down there. As I say, I don't know whether I'll have time or not to be able to see it. The trouble is, filming this time of year is you start to run out of daylight quite quickly. Anyway, before I go on to the next video, I just want to tell you about something that didn't happen in the month of November, and then we'll go on to talk about what hopefully will be happening in the month of December. What didn't happen was a return to the Geopark Way. I was hoping to do part 2 of that, but of course we had a couple of storms. It's been very, very wet underfoot. I've been filming some other things as well, and it just didn't happen, unfortunately. So I've put the Geopark Way on hold now. It just will not be suitable to do it in December, because there isn't enough daylight to do it, and my schedule is fully booked for December for bringing you, well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But yeah, so I do apologise for that, but we will return to the Geopark Way in the early spring next year, all being well. Next video was one in my railway series and also in my Cornwall series, and it was called What Is There to See at the Bodmin Railway. In fact, Bodmin Railway has undergone a couple of name changes. It used to be called Bodmin Steam Railway, Bodmin and Renford Railway, Bodmin and Wenford Steam Railway, but yeah, the latest incarnation is Bodmin Railway. So I think it's nice to just keep these things simple. I think they took the steam bit out because, well, I went to see it was a diesel day rather than a steam day, which is, you know, not mixing it up, because obviously there's a lot of people interested in diesel locos as well as steam locos, and they do both at the Bodmin Railway there at Bodmin Parkway and running into Bodmin General. And I mixed that video up a little bit because we had a little bit of a tour of the town of Bodmin as well, and they were having a food festival there when I was there. Oh, it was about 2 or 3 Saturdays ago there in Cornwall. And a lovely comment on that video from Malcolm Richardson. Looks a very scenic route. It was, with the going through all the woodland there and the trees and seeing all the colours. ideally linking the main line with the attractive town of Bodmin. Let's hope that one day will extend all the way to Weybridge. Yes, they have got plans, long-term plans to do that, but I think like all heritage railways, the main thing at the moment is staying financially solvent in these difficult times, financial times. But yeah, thanks to Malcolm, and hopefully one day that will indeed happen. And also had a great comment from Jessie's Grand Day Out. Great to hear from you, Jessie. This looks like a lovely line, and great that it shares a station with the main line. I thought I recognised that name. Goes through some lovely countryside too. Yes, thanks very much, Jessie, and you're absolutely right. It makes it so much easier to get to heritage lines if they have a direct connection off the network. And touching on that subject, I recently heard, I was listening to BBC Radio Somerset this morning, my internet radio, and they were saying about the connection from the town of Taunton to the town of Bishop's Lydiard in West Somerset. That's always been a bit of a bone of contention, really, not to have that. And they're hoping to run services again, a direct GWR connection from there to there. Well, then you'll be able to fit into the West Somerset Railway services on that heritage line, because the trouble is getting to Bishop's Lydiard is quite a nightmare. If you want to come off the M5, you often get stuck in traffic in Taunton, and even if you catch the bus outside of Taunton station, the same happens. So it'd be brilliant to have that. Now let's tell you a little bit more about this village here in Bath North-on-Sea, Somerset. Now, before I mention the next fact about this village here and the next video that landed on the channel in the month of November, I just want to tell you what's going to be coming up in the month of December. Well, it's all about something that's happening on December the 25th. What could that be? Oh, there's some holly. There's a clue. Yes, so there's going to be lots and lots of Christmas video. Well, not lots and lots. There's going to be a few of them, that's for sure. Hopefully some surprises as well. I've already filmed this first one. I'll tell you what it is now. You're tapping into a secret here, because hopefully it'll be landing very soon. And that was the Christmas light switch on in the city of Herefordshire, because they had a big event there. They had Eternal, I don't know if you remember those from the late 1990s, 2000, they're on stage there. Obviously I can't show the concert. I watched it. It was absolutely brilliant. They were really, really good. But yeah, it was a fantastic atmosphere. There were stalls, loads going on the lights themselves. So hopefully I'll bring you that soon. There'll also be a Christmas in the Cotswolds. This is a bit of a tradition now. Last year it was Malmesbury, the year before it was Broadway and Chipping Campden. This year, well, you'll have to wait and see where we'll be heading to in the Cotswolds. So look out for that one. I'm hoping to do a collab, or possibly two collabs, so look out for those. So there'll be something coming up from Devon and something coming up from the county of Somerset as well, so look out for those. So probably about 4 or 5 Christmas videos to get us properly in the mood before we get to the big day. There'll be other things as well. If Christmas isn't your thing, don't despair. I will be throwing in some couple of other things. I'm hoping to do a Lost Railway walk before Christmas, and possibly another walk in the Cotswolds as well before Christmas Day. If it doesn't land in Christmas Day, then it will hopefully land between Christmas and New Year, because that's always a great time to be out walking, I feel. So yeah, there may be a heritage looking at Santa special somewhere. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I've got some plans for that, so hopefully that will happen as well. So lots of variety happening on the channel in the month of December. Now, what was the next video? Now, that video was Secrets of the Stroud Water. I think it's the 5th or the 6th one. I think it was the 6th one, actually. I've done looking at secrets of the history of the Stroud Water, not the canal necessarily, because there were previous incarnations of the Stroud Water Canal, something that commentator touches on. And that commentator was Diana Rolfe. Great comment, Diana, thanks for that. And she writes, it did take a long time for the canal to be built from the original inception. Necessity being the mother invention didn't apply here. I thought maybe that undertakers was derived from the alternative meaning of undertaking, i.e. to take something on. I think that's an excellent comment, Diana, and I think you're spot on the money there, because that video is titled The Undertakers. In the video I posed a question, why were they called the Undertakers? 9 men that decided to go ahead with a navigation across the Sound Valley to link it to the River Severn. Couldn't work out why. Did they dress in dark? Well, I think Diana's got the answer. Yes, they were undertaking a big navigational project. Thank you, Donna. That's brilliant. In the grounds of Newton Park, as well as the newer buildings of Bath Spa University, are the remnants of a castle. Now, it's not actually a castle, not like I saw the other day at Ludlow Castle there in Shropshire, but the remains were of a fortified manor house, and the remains are a 14th century keep and a 15th century fortified gateway. So hopefully we'll be able to see that before the end of today. If not, I might have to have a look at something on the internet and put that up. But yeah, so it's absolutely fascinating around there. It also has, the land around it, a great deal of history. The land was originally owned by the de Paveleys family, who owned lots of land, and they were based in Westbury in Wiltshire, probably about 20 odd miles to the southeast of where I currently am. Now, through marriage, it was passed on to somebody with a really unusual name. His name was John de Sancto Laudo, and he gained notoriety during the Crusades. In fact, during a battle called the Battle of Acre. So I've just come round into Newton Park, and the lake is open down there. Well, it's about 2:30 at the moment, so it should still be open. It says it closes at 4:30, and it's down in that direction. This is the main road here, which goes into Bath Spa University campus. And unfortunately, I've only got my city shoes on because I came into a city today, and it's a bit rocky down there. So because of the bad weather we've had, I decided not to continue on further. But I want to head round, see if we can see the castle here at Newton Park. Well, welcome to Bath Spa University campus here at Newton Park. So here we have a plan of Bath Spa University, and this is the bus stop. And as you can see, it's the U5 which takes you into the city centre. One in 2 minutes, another one at 14:56. So yes, they are pretty frequent. So this is the main house here that I spoke about earlier in the video, here at Newton Park, which was built by Stuyff Ledbetter. Really is a beautiful building. Wow, well that's just jaw-droppingly beautiful. What spectacular grounds for this university here. Well, according to the sign, looks like we go down this way. Well, there it is in all its glory. The keep, the restored keep, here at Newton Park, just on the edge of the village of Newton St Lou. Well, that's amazing. What absolutely fabulous grounds and buildings to learn in. It is actually used, that building as well. I've seen a couple of students go in and out of it. Not a film, obviously, but just over here, this is going back to Newton Park building there, which is where we come from. And down there is the lake. And there is the arched gateway. Well, that's just amazing. I think it actually houses a zoological museum upstairs. But yeah, just wonderful gatehouse here. It doesn't stop there because you have this walled garden here in the grounds. Newton Park, part of Bath Spa University. Now, I had a trip to Devon during the month of October, but the video actually landed this month. And the video was called, What is Kingsbridge Life? Because I used to live near Kingsbridge in the village of South Mill, which I've done a separate video about, which did land in October. Had a look around there. Unfortunately, it was a very, very wet day, but I just had to make the most of what I had at the time. But it's a lovely town. I had some great comments on it. So thank you, Faye, for your comment on the Kingsbridge video. Did you actually dance in or next to the nightclub? That was a great walk. Shame the weather was unkind. And Louise from Southwest Sundays writes, really interesting to look around both places. Yes, because Kingsbridge is to Kingsbridge itself and Dodbrooke. You captured some lovely autumn colours. Loved the nightclub. Thanks, Louise. Yeah, thank you, Louise, for that, and Faith as well. Great comments. Yeah, the nightclub. If you haven't seen that video, what on earth that's all about is there is a phone box, which is Kingsbridge's nightclub, and it's right outside the police station. I don't think they get much trouble there. And you have to put in £1, and it goes to the Kingsbridge Food Bank. So a great cause. And yeah, you can listen to music over the telephone. It's got flashing lights. Yeah, it's good fun. Good bit of fun. That I love that. And Kingsbridge is a really, really lovely town. Then did a walk in the Cotswolds. I always love doing these. I try to do one a month, if not more, if I can. And this one was from the beautiful village of Cranham, which is not that far from the town of Cheltenham Spa, which you're probably more familiar with. So it's close to the A46, main road between Stroud and Cheltenham. And walking over to Sheepscombe, which is somewhere we'd been before, but I didn't have time to look around the village fully. And I know in that video, a couple of you commented on about the cricket ground being spectacular. And so I wanted to seek out that cricket ground. So I did that, and it was a very, very cold day, colder than it is today, in fact. And there was snow on the ground, but that made for a very photogenic conditions with the light coming through the trees, the beautiful sunlight. Yeah, I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that walk. It was a bit tricky in places because of the slippery nature of the ground. But yeah, I just loved it. I loved it. Great comment from Caroline, who adds some information. She lives in Gloucestershire, not far from where I live, and her comment's really interesting. I pinned it because in the video I go through Workman's Wood, and I wondered why it was called Workman's Wood. Well, she answers that question. Workman's Wood used to be owned by the Workman family, so that was a surname, who lived in Sheepscombe, and the trees were felled for the sawmill at Woodchester by the Midland Branch Railway Station. That's the branch to the town of Nailsworth. When we were making the Woodchester layout, that's a model railway layout, so she's into model railways, Caroline, so she'd done one which featured that branch line and the station there at the village of Woodchester. We went to meet Mr. Workman himself. Oh wow, that's fantastic. The sawmill used to make the chocks which are hammered into the chairs to secure the railway line, the rails themselves, to the sleepers. They also made telegraph poles for the railways and the GPO, the General Post Office. Originally, horses pulled the logs on four-wheeled wagons, and the traction engine and lorries pulled the loads. Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Karen. That's a fantastic comment. And the penultimate video for this month was the Wilton Barks Canal, number 9, Pewsham Locks and Nash Hill. I think some people pronounce it Nash Hill. I'm not sure if there's a right or wrong, either or, Nash. But I had a great comment on that one. For some more information, as I said, I've had some terrific comments this month. Really appreciate them. From Steve Court, who runs a channel called Court Above the Cut. I'll link to his channel in the description of today's. Double Bridge was double the width, as when the canal was built, the land was mixed between two farmers who had land on each side of the bridge. On the other side of it, it was an accommodation bridge. They built it as double width, so they had each half of the bridge each, with a wall running down the middle of the bridge on the top. To each farmer could run livestock across the bridge without mixing them up. Wow, that's amazing. I've not come across that before in any canal accommodation bridge. That's amazing to hear that. Just below Double Bridge, there is another wildflower meadow, as well as loads of tree planting and newt ponds, and all managed by a chap called Howard Yardy, who is the main environmental officer for the Wilton Barks Canal Trust. Well, thanks very much for that comment, Steve. And actually, incidentally, as well as Steve putting out videos regularly about all types of canals, not just in West Country, all over the UK, really good channel. Howard Yardy's also done a video on the official Wilton Barks Canal Trust website, which actually, YouTube channel shall I say, we actually landed, I think it was like a day after my video landed, so coincidence. He's probably filming on the same. I didn't see him there, but he explains about what they're planning to do in that area environmentally. It's fascinating, so I'll link to that video as well. So lots of links in the description of the monthly vlog this month. And finally, this month on the channel for November, we had Rington, which is a short bite photography series. And the town of Rington, or the village even, of Rington lies in North Somerset. It's actually in the Yeo Valley, so it's close to a place called Blagdon Lake, which is a reservoir built for Bristol water back in the 19th century. And this is close to another one called Chew Magna Lake as well, so it's kind of on that Weston-super-Mare Road. And thank you, Darren, for taking me around your beautiful village. Great comment on that from Marilyn Balderston. What a pretty little village, and fancy having its own station. Yes, because it was on the Rington Light Railway from junction at Congressbury. I was wondering if it had a coal mine nearby. I will have to look it up. So many little villages did. Well, yeah, including this one here, also in Bath and North East Somerset, Maryland, including my mum's family who lived in Chew Magna, not far away. Great. Godfather escaped mining to become a soldier. I'm not sure which was worse, being a miner or a soldier. Indeed, yes, both very hazardous professions there. And Marilyn goes on to write, have you done a vlog about Ridlington Quarry? Colliery even, as that definitely did have a colliery. Yes, it did. I actually visited it in the 5th form at school and was envious of the 6th formers who were allowed down inside the colliery. That must have been an amazing trip. Thank you very much for that brilliant comment there, Marilyn. And that brings a conclusion to our monthly vlog today in the beautiful village of Newton St Lou in Bath and North Sea Somerset. Hope you can join me again for videos during the month of December. So there'll be lots of Christmas ones, but as you know on the Variety channel, there'll be lots of other things as well. Thank you very much for watching, for commenting, for sharing, for subscribing and liking any of my videos this month. It really does help me continue making the videos, and thanks for watching my monthly vlogs too. I know some of you really enjoyed looking at them, and I tried to make it so it's like a community feel on the channel here by reading out your comments as well. So it's a kind of an interactive process. So who knows, if you write a comment during the month of December, you'll appear in December's vlog at the end of December. That's it for today here on West Country Wanderings. Take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.